Hello, I just want to go through a quick demo of a high-level overview of the various pages and features in our AvanTech IoT platform. So here I'm starting on the dashboard. So this is what you'd see right after logging in. And these dashboards, you can define your own and create these to look however you like. And they're very configurable. You can add widgets and configure and move everything on them. And I'll show more details of that in another video. But essentially, once you've created these, it's very easy to flip between them and just select whichever dashboard you're interested in looking at, and that'll be saved with all of the settings and your device specifics and the sensors that you wanted on those available. You can create as many of these as you like, and you can share them with other people in your organization. The next page is devices, and this is where you can see the specific sensors and the alarms for those devices as well. So you can see here when data last came in from a sensor, and then you can view the specifics of it. So I can see that on this device with 54 sensors, here's all of the live data, and this is updating in real time as I'm receiving updates and new values from the sensors for that device. And then as well, each device can have its own set of alarms, and those would show up here as well if there's any active alarms for it. Speaking of alarms, they can then be defined. So you can set your own alarms. I'll just show you an example of creating a new alarm. So I can name it whatever I like, and then I can pick a specific device that it's going to use as an alarm, and then which sensor I'm looking at. So if we wanted to look at either an output power or a temperature or something as a limit, we could say, well, what if my heating power goes above greater than a value of 800 watts in this case. So I could create that as an alarm, and anytime the data then for that channel goes above 800, that would then become a new alarm, and it would show up for anybody viewing this device. So the next part of alarms is to make those useful. We added an area called rules. And with a rule, there's two types that we allow you to create. There's alarm conditions, which is going to be based on alarms of devices, which we just saw. So we could pick a device and then pick an existing alarm. In this case, let's say if there's poor signal strength as an alarm on this device, and that poor signal strength alarm goes active, we can then add that condition to our rule. I can save this as low signal strength. And then essentially I can define what the actions are. So in this case, I can have it email me anytime this poor signal strength occurs, and we're getting data from the device to indicate that. So each person can define their own rules on whatever devices and alarms that they're interested in. The other type of rule here is offline device. So this is very useful if you have a critical device and you want to know if it has stopped sending data. So in this case, we again pick our device and say, well, if it goes offline for 30 minutes or more, in that case, we'll have it email me. And so that allows us to keep an eye on our system just to be confident that everything is in fact still being monitored. And you can choose offline or online. One other feature within our rules, which is handy, is you can also define a particular schedule for these rules. And this is great for shift workers. People who only want to be notified maybe during work hours or not on the weekend, they can change the schedule that these rules are sent out during. And so if something happens off shift, they may not care, and so they won't get the rules. You can define when those times are and what days that they would be active for you. And if you leave things on by default, it would always send you notifications for those. So the next area is events, and events allow you to basically view everything that's happened in the system, whether that's, as you can see here, me logging in or modifying dashboards and editing things. All of those sort of user actions can be seen here. As well, if alarms have occurred, those would also show up in this, and you can filter for those and define your own views within these events. Charts are exactly that. It allows you to chart data. So you can create and load presets that will have different parameters and different settings on them to show a view of your data over some time frame. And I think this one's just viewing over the last 3 days. There was some times where the machine was shut off, but you can see when the live data is being sent in. You can chart that over time. So it's great for looking at trends and histories of your data if you're looking for limits or finding anomalies or just want to be able to see the data itself. So similarly, our analytics, this is also new, that analytic presets you can also define to make a similar thing to a chart. So we'd give it a name. I'll just call it temporary. And then we can choose in here recent data over a given time frame. And so I have to pick a device that I'm interested in looking at some data from. And in this case, I'm going to look at the minimum value, average value, and the maximum value. And I can add that sensor to my preset. Whoops. And I'm going to put it into a chart. So here in the background now you can see that I've got my chart with the cyclical temperatures happening through the day, and I can look at any time interval I want. I can use analytics to find, minimums and maximums, essentially peaks and values of my data, and or when data is very close, you can see that as well. It doesn't have a lot of variation. But I can also put this into a table format, and with table format it's sometimes simpler. Maybe you're needing to export that data or look at it, in another tool. You can export that data out and easily find it. You can even view it directly to Excel or in a PDF file from the application here, and it'll just save and bring that in. So these can each be created into a preset as well, so that you can recall them very easily just by dropping down and selecting the different views. Last here we've got the diagram area, and so with diagrams, what's nice here is you can actually put your live sensor data over top of a picture, or a diagram as we call it. And again, you can create these in a preset and have multiple of them, and it's very easy to define any of these parameters. With signal strength here, just as an example, I can change and adjust a lot of parameters with it. So I can change the data, the value, the coloring, the size, the rotation, all those types of things. So I can put these on my diagram wherever I like, and it's very quick to edit it and move them and just display it over top of a image of your device or a map or whatever else you'd like to use in a diagram. And once you save that and you have that available, each of these areas, diagrams, analytics, charts, and events, those can also all be used in your dashboards. So once you've created those and you have a preset for them, you can then go and put those elements into a dashboard to make an even more elaborate display of all of your data, make it so it shows everything you need, and easily share that with other people or yourself and have notifications. So I hope that gives you a good overview. There are a few other areas like setup areas and feedback and profile settings, which we'll cover in other videos, but that gives an overview of what's available in the application.